Ben, I was expecting you.
It's nothing new. You always seem to know when I'm going to arrive.
If only you'd sign up for my Domi course, and maybe you'd understand some of these extrasensory perceptions of mine.
Darling, don't you realize how intolerable that would be? Why, if I knew every time you were going to show up in my life, I would be robbed of the impromptu joy of your unexpected presence.
Why didn't you tell me that Ben Martin asked for a job at the Bedford Institute?
Oh, so you know about that too?
Among other things. Why didn't you tell me?
Do you mind?
Well, I'm waiting for an explanation.
Laurie, do you remember the other night when you woke up, you heard me leaving a message with Brian's answering service?
Yeah, you were trying to set up a lunch date for the next day, right?
Right, but Brian couldn't make it, but he did stop by my office that morning just to see what I wanted.
Yeah, and you said it was to be with a good friend and to break the monotony.
And that is true, to a degree. But
Did Brian offer you a position at the Bedford Institute?
Laurie, I asked him for a job. I was so embarrassed, I felt like this stupid little schoolboy cheating on an examination.
Why?
Because I didn't want to take advantage of our friendship. And everything that he has ever observed about us was true. Financially and professionally, we're failures, Laurie.
Ben Martin, now you listen to me.
No. Now, Brian didn't infer that at all. Honey, that's how I felt. I felt so ashamed at having to ask him for a job.
Well, you didn't have to.
Well, I tried
And
to...
you don't now.
I tried to back out of it. But he insisted that I shouldn't. He said he wanted to talk to a man named Ken Blakely, who's the chief of staff at the Institute. And he told me he'd get back to me as soon as possible.
Okay, well, I suppose it is a solution to our dilemma, and I didn't mean to jump on you. It's just that, Ben, when you refer to yourself as a financial and professional failure, I really just want to hit the roof.
I am not a failure. I know that.
Look,
Laurie.
Monica Evans wouldn't be doing a feature article on a failure for Upbeat Magazine.
Look, let's not go into that right now, okay? The point is, if I think I'm not living up to my full potential, then I feel like a failure. Do you understand that?
Look, I know all the stress that you've been under at the clinic. I'm behind you, Ben. We have prayed about this. We've discussed it. I'll stand by you. You know that. But what still bothers me about this offer from Brian...
It's not an offer, honey.
All right. This possible offer from Brian is that it's a choice against the clinic and not for the Bedford Institute.
I don't deny that at all. My frustration with the clinic is what motivated me to look for a new job in the first place.
Okay, well, is this the healthiest motivation for a career move?
I thought we both agreed the stress I was under was more than enough motivation. Now, are you qualifying your position?
No, I'm not at all. I'm just saying that I would like it a lot better if there was a positive reason for you to go to the Bedford Institute instead of a negative reason to leave the clinic.
All right. I'm sure that if I get an offer, we'll both feel more positive.
So what kind of position do you think they'd offer you?
I guess general surgeon.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a position like that there.
Yes, besides plastics, the Institute does minor and general surgery. They also do GYN and ENT. Did I tell you that Lucille Figgins is going to have a facelift there?
No!
Yes, she is.
Lucille?
But you know, she almost got cold feet because of Dave's criticizing Brian and the Institute. But you see, I convinced her that she should go right ahead and have this plastic surgery and not be swayed by any negative publicity. Because I told her, as far as I'm concerned, Brian's integrity is beyond reproach.
I don't even know why she would do it. I mean, I think she's a very attractive person.
Yeah, she is, and she has a terrific personality. But you know, it's just like I was saying. It's how a person feels on the inside, Laurie. If Lucille doesn't feel attractive, it doesn't make any difference what other people say. And I really believe this plastic surgery is going to improve her self-image.
Sounds to me like you've already hung up your shingle there.
Well, think about it, honey. Think about it. The Bedford Institute would solve our problem. Not only would it at least triple my present salary, but there would be no need to move away from Kingsley. And that is the main reason I asked Brian for a job. I did it for you, Laurie.
Don't you have any low-cal sweetener?
Sorry. Did you bring up the issue?
How did you find out about Ben's request?
You really don't want to know about human communication and synergistics, do you?
Come off it, Vanessa.
All right. Enough buzzwords. Ken Blakely told me.
Don't tell me you're pursuing a relationship with the chief of staff at the Bedford.
Would that make you jealous?
Nervous would be a better choice of words.
Why, what on earth for?
The less that you have to do with the Bedford Institute or anyone associated with it, the happier I am.
All right. I found out that Ben was interested in a job at the Institute over a few casual drinks with Ken at the University Club. I was invited there for lunch by a mutual friend of his. He's really quite a charming man.
Especially after his third martini. I suppose he also told you that he authorized me to offer Ben a job.
Yes, but I want you to hold off on that.
What are you talking about?
We need more time.
But you have been goading me for weeks to bring him to this point. I pegged his discontent correctly. But I admit that I thought it would take a couple more months before he'd even consider asking for a position at the Bedford. Should have seen the way that he tried to back out of it when he finally committed himself to asking. He was so embarrassed, I almost enjoyed it.
And you're to be commended on your fine work. But Ben isn't going to be ready for the Institute until his wife is.
Now, how do you know about Laurie's reservations? Ben confided those to me, and I never said a word to Ken Blakely.
Just write it off as a woman's intuition, since you won't accept my precognitive abilities.
Oh, I believe you have those capabilities. I just don't want to see you take your Domi claims too seriously, Vanessa.
That really bothers you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. When you talk about Ben and Laurie as if you know them, it makes me kind of uncomfortable. I enjoy their friendship.
Good. Keep it up. And use their friendship now to convince Laurie that the Bedford Institute would be the best possible place in the world for Ben right now.
Thanks for coming over, Peter.
Sure.
May I get you a drink?
No, thanks.
Please, sit down. Remember the first time we were in this room together? You're all decked out in your tuxedo, ready to take Courtney to the dance.
Yeah, you dropped in unexpectedly. From Lake Forest to check up on her?
Yeah. Tell me, Peter, had you known things were going to turn out like they have, would you have taken Courtney?
Probably not. I don't know. I guess that's what keeps us struggling now. We don't know the future.
Yeah.
Courtney visited me yesterday down at the newsroom. She told me that you're going to have this marriage annulled. Is that true?
Well, I was served with the papers yesterday.
Courtney's convinced you're not going to contest it.
I don't want to lose her.
Which means you're going to fight for it.
Which means that when one is backed into a corner, his strategy changes. Sometimes he ends up fooling people. I suppose Preston has informed you of his neutral position in all of this.
Yeah, I did. And I was kind of surprised at that, too.
Weren't we all? But, well, now that the game board is cleared, so to speak, what's going to be your next move?
This might come as a surprise to you, but I told Mr. Carpenter and I told Courtney that I think we all need more time. A lot's happened since that night I tried to take her to the prom. I won't say that she won't always have a special place in my heart, but she's been doing some very serious thinking about the relationship, and I don't think it's right.
Excuse me, but did I just hear you right? Did you just say that your relationship with Courtney might not be right?
It's kind of hard to explain, but I think if you knew my background, if you knew my family and the way they think, you'd understand.
Yes, Courtney has told me that you're morally upright. I must say that's surprising in this day and age, but refreshing. I suppose if I grant her this annulment, it would make it easier on you, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I tried to tell her the same thing, but I don't think she heard me.
This is turning out to be a comedy of errors. I mean, here I am chasing after my own wife, who in turn is chasing after you, and you don't even know if you want her.
No. I guess the important thing is what you want.
I want Courtney.
Then fight this annulment. Fight it. Go for it.
You can say that you did it for me, that was part of your motivation, and I appreciate that. I really do. But it is such a broad leap from the clinic to the Bedford Institute. I'm not just talking financially, I mean philosophically.
I don't deny that.
The needs of the people that come to the clinic are so great.
Yes, they are. But they're no greater than the needs of the people who go to the Bedford Institute.
Ben, how can you say that?
I can say that by looking beyond the obvious. I mean, sure, the people who go to the Bedford Institute are better off financially. They really are. And most of the patients we have at the clinic are poverty-stricken. But when you're talking about real needs, you have to look beyond the surface, Laurie. I mean, the alcoholic wife of an executive vice president has no less a need than the poor wino who stumbles in off the street into the clinic. They both suffer from the same insecurities, the same self-doubts. In fact, the rich one is perhaps a little worse off because she has the leisure time to contemplate her misery.
Okay, that may be true, Ben. But you've got to admit that there are certainly more poor people suffering physically than rich people.
No argument. No argument. But where do I fit into all this? Am I responsible for all the suffering in the world? Or do I simply do the best job I know how to do in an environment that at least makes me feel like I'm fulfilling my potential?
You know, this is how you used to talk about the clinic.
And I still would, if I felt like I had some degree of fulfillment there. But I don't, Laurie. I simply don't. Also, there's this self-righteous attitude that breeds in an environment like the clinic. Dave is a good example. His attitude toward Brian, which almost stopped Lucille from becoming the person she really wants to be.
Ben, I want Lucy to be happy. I really wish the best for her. But what she needs, what any of us needs to have a better self-image, is a deeper understanding of God and His love for us.
So you really think I should contest this annulment?
Do you love her?
I've loved Courtney since the first time I laid eyes on her. I can still remember her coming out party at the Cotillion in Lake Forest. She was 16. She looked like a vision, something out of a Midsummer Night's Dream. An azalea queen. But my mistake was that I never expressed my love for her the way that I should have. It wasn't until I was humiliated that I actually came around to doing it. Now it seems it's too late.
No, it's not too late. Your problem is psychological, right?
That's what the doctors say.
but it can be cured.
With time. And time is what I've been hoping for. But you know Courtney, she's very impatient.
Oh, yeah, she is. And impetuous and stubborn. But you guys are made for each other. Despite what I've felt in the past.
What's made you change your mind?
I came to realize that those vows you took at the wedding, for better, for worse, for sickness and health, all that, is, that's the conditions you got married under. And your impotence is a sickness, and it can be cured. I won't pursue her. You have my word on that.
Do you know that some of the people who've enlisted in the DOMI program this time are among the wealthiest we've ever had?
Well, don't tell me about them. Our involvement is purely social. Remember that.
But of course. However, if I had some wealthy, insecure ladies who'd made it into the inner recesses of the DOMI program, you'd have no compunctions about my referring them to you for perhaps a facelift or a tummy tuck, would you? Just to improve their self-image, of course.
As long as it's handled professionally, Vanessa.
Some of those same women will, through the aid of hypnosis on my part, be implanted with symptoms of other maladies. Those I'll refer to Dr. Martin, who will undoubtedly prescribe medication. When they return to me, I'll find out what medication was prescribed, and I will begin to use those very drugs to help them and guide them into the upper levels of DOMI, where they will find total relaxation and happiness.
Very expensive happiness.
You don't have to concern yourself with that. As for Ben Martin, he doesn't have to know anything about it either. He's the one who's going to be making the choices, or at least he'll think he is. And while he is making those choices, the Bedford Institute will be getting the publicity boost that it so desperately needs. Brian, you know, you might even think of raising your fees.
Well, that's a bit premature, but I'm sure that in time I'll consider it. The main thing is, though, that I'm not directly involved in any of this.
Brian, my love, my plan has been foolproof in the past, and it will be foolproof again.
Good. Keep the details to yourself, and let's not dig up the past. In the meantime, I'll continue to encourage Laurie to back the man of her life and his decision.
You've never failed me yet. And I just want you to know how much I really appreciate this.
Look, Ben, I know that God is the answer. And there was a time when you would have agreed with me.
God answers prayers, right? So all she's got to do is say, God, make me beautiful, and zap, she's made beautiful, right?
Ben, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that she could go to the Lord and pray and say, Lord, I know you made me. Give me the grace to see that you formed me and molded me for a purpose.
Well, that's what Brian's doing. He's reforming her and remolding her for a purpose before that prayer gets answered.
Now I see why you didn't bring God into the interview with Monica Evans.
Look, I thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about Upbeat magazine anymore.
All right, I'm sorry. It's just an observation, okay? But I don't think you brought God into the interview because you don't really believe that God answers prayer, do you?
No, I'm not saying that at all, honey.
Well, then what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that God answers some prayers. What concerns me are all the ones he doesn't answer. Now, you've got to admit he doesn't answer every single prayer we pray, right?
Maybe not the way we always want, but God is involved very personally in our lives.
Okay, sure. Sure. But as far as our individual needs are concerned, I don't really know how involved he really is. Now, let's be honest.
Okay. God answers every prayer according to his will.
Fine, fine. The problem is most of us don't know what his will is on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we have to work, we have to provide for our families. We don't have time to sit around and figure out what his will is. So we step out on our own and we make mistakes, but at least we're trying to solve our problems. And Lucille is a perfect example of that. Now, honey, you can go to her and you can tell her how to pray and you can pray for her all you want. That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. But as a physician and as her friend, I have to say to Lucille, you go after your heart's desire. if through the miracles of modern medicine you can improve your self-image, then by all means go for it, do it. And don't let Dave Phillips or Laurie Martin stop you.
Okay, Ben, so what you're saying is, Lucy, you go out there and you fix your self-image from the outside, but don't expect God to heal you on the inside.
What I'm saying is Lucille should solve her problem the best way she can. And right now, prayer isn't the answer. The Bedford Institute is.
Does that mean that prayer isn't the answer for us either, Ben? Is that what that means?
No, it doesn't mean that prayer won't help us.
Then will you pray with me? Now? Do you want to start?
No, you go ahead.
Father, thank you that you do answer prayers. Our lives testify to that, with you bringing me out of a terrible depression over a year ago to the healing of Ben's hand. And God, I pray that you would show Lucy that it's the beauty on the inside that really counts. And God, give her that confidence that she needs to be that person that you want her to be. Do you want to say anything?
I better go check on Scotty.
No, I'll get him.
No, really, he sees you all the time. I think he needs his daddy.